Did you know there's an entire underground butt market where you can go to buy injections for your keister? And they're administered by people that aren't actually qualified to be giving them. They're not medical professionals. And yesterday, a mother and daughter duo got arrested for this. They travel around and give people some injections into their tuchus to try and elevate their ass game to the next level. And they would have got away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling medical license requirements. You can't really just go around giving people medical procedures unless you're qualified to do so, for the obvious reason of it's dangerous. People die from it all the time, from botched procedures. Even something as simple as getting your fucking butt cheeks blasted here with whatever substance they were administering, which they're still investigating what they're even giving them. For all we know, they could have been dishing out BBLs using fucking Play-Doh in a syringe, blasting like hamburger meat into their butt. Like, there's no telling. It could have been anything. But anyway, they made a public appearance yesterday. Right now, they're out on bail. But I'll introduce you to Goof and Goober here real quick.
Consuelo Maria Dalbo made her first appearance in a Harris County court yesterday. She faces a felony drug charge and a misdemeanor of practicing medicine without a license. Dalbo spoke with our news partners in Houston while out on bond. She says her passion is helping people and boosting their confidence.
Believe me, everything I do it with my heart. And everybody who knows me, they know me. Sometimes I do it because they really need it.
What a bunch of fish paste. What do you mean? She's making it sound like she's some kind of saint for doing this, as if it's like a required procedure that some people need but just can't afford. You and your daughter were just preying on people's insecurities to make a fat payday. You were charging thousands of dollars to show up to their residence with a mystery liquid in a syringe. That could have just been turkey gravy for all we know. No one needs an ass booster. She's trying to frame this like she was doing a good deed or a valuable service. You weren't. Unless there was someone born without butt cheeks and they can't sit down because they just slide off the chairs, or if they lay down in bed they just fucking squeak off the side or something. There's nobody in the world that needs this done. Look up the mother and daughter in Texas who got arrested for illegally giving people butt injections. Bootleg BBLs? Oh, this is 9 hours ago. Mother and daughter accused of performing illegal butt injections arrested in sting operation in Texas. That'll get you every time. Getting your BBL from Wish. Mother and daughter accused of performing illegal butt injections without any medical expertise were arrested in Texas. Consuelo Dalbo, 56, and her daughter Isabella Dalbo, 18, have been charged with practicing medicine without a license. How is that only a misdemeanor? Like, that should be so much more severe. Well, I know a misdemeanor can be pretty severe, though. I mean, that's big stuff. Practicing medicine without a license, like, come on. Come on. People die from this shit. Court documents reveal the women went to a home to perform the butt injections on a customer who was actually an undercover peace officer. And they plan to charge $6,000 for the service. Are they calling them peace officers now? Instead of police? Is this like some kind of rebrand or something? Why are they calling him a peace officer? That's some Hunger Games shit. The women apparently were not even sure what was in the injectables, described as an unlabeled brown liquid. A motion for bail written by Harris County District's Attorney Office said, "This fundamentally demonstrates how remarkably dangerous these acts were." Consuelo Dalbo allegedly provided a Xanax to the prospective customer for the purpose of relaxing her before the injections began. The women were ultimately arrested separately in the sting. Authorities also confiscated bags containing the illegal injectables and medical equipment. They were accused of traveling across the country to give clients these illegal injections. The investigation into the pair was conducted by Houston Police Department's Major Offenders Division Food Drug Administration agents. What a long title. And Homeland Security. They're prohibited from practicing medicine without a license, as I think anyone in the world would be. In 2021, police said a mother and daughter duo were charged with a murder in California after they performed a botched butt injection that resulted in the October 2019 death of 26-year-old Carissa Rajpal. Police said that the mother and daughter had no medical certification and it was believed neither had any type of training. A jury found them guilty of involuntary manslaughter last month. Also in 2021, a Dallas woman was sentenced to 5 years in prison for causing a nightclub dancer's death by performing an illegal butt injection on her in Missouri in 2015. Bro, these butt injections get you every time. That's like a speed run to meet your maker. The butt has a lot of nerves and some important veins, if I remember correctly, so if it's performed badly, shit like this can happen. This can happen with any kind of procedure, though, from someone that's not actually licensed. There was a Instagram model, actually, she might have just been like a full-blown big model, I can't remember, who died after a botched knee surgery that was supposed to, like, remove a little, like, what was it, a little cartilage around her knee, because she didn't like the way her knees looked. So this can just happen anywhere, if you're being tended to by a less than qualified professional. That's what it was, removing fat from her knee. That's what it was. And it was a Brazilian influencer who suffered cardiac arrest after liposuction on her knee went wrong. Which is a crazy procedure to get in the first place. Removing some fat from your knee? You fucking kidding me? There was also that billionaire who died after getting a penis injection to make his dick bigger. Why a billionaire died during penis enlargement? Oh yeah. This was in 2019. There was a diamond trading billionaire. His name was Ehud R. Lanido. Are you fucking kidding me? I already turned my ad block off for you. Now you're not going to let me read the article unless I sign up for this? You've got some nerve, man. It's incredible. The gall. The state of the goddamn internet. And you're going to autoplay an ad for me? God, Jesus. What a joke. A wealthy Belgian diamond dealer has died of cardiac arrest following a cosmetic surgery in a Parisian clinic to enlarge his sex. Penoplasty is a surgical technique that dates back to 1990. Increasingly more popular, it has become a $5 billion market. What? The Go-Go Gadget Extendo Dick? I just didn't think these would be popular. I actually didn't even know these existed until pretty recently. I thought that was one of those things that you just had to fucking suck up. I knew they had some procedures for micro penises, but I didn't think you could really do one on like a normal, just small one. The Belgian-Israeli diamond dealer living in the U.S. traveled to Paris to have the operation and succumbed to it. He checked into the clinic on the 2nd of March to enlarge his sex, said one of the medical personnel. The operation turned bad and the client had a cardiac arrest. The doctors could not save his life. Well, yeah, I mean, they're dick doctors. You got the fucking penis patrol in there. What are they gonna do to try and bring him back from cardiac arrest? Shit, his heart is stopping. Jerk him off. God, 5 cc's of epinephrine right into the nutsack. Quick! That's just all the information they have about it. This is not a good... I wanted a little more info on it. This site just has like 2 paragraphs dedicated to it and then nothing but ads. It's like, yeah, this billionaire died from cock improvement procedure. But anyway, have you checked out these bikes? Did they finish the enlargement? Yeah, imagine he can feel himself fading away. He sees the light at the end of the tunnel, but he's like, no, please. Not with this sad, tiny micro. Just don't save me. Save it. Quick. God, please. Yeah, there's really just not a whole lot of info about it. This guy just died and they forgot about him. Open casket and open trousers. Yeah, imagine it's just like an open casket, but not like the actual head part. It's just like his lower body and he's nude. They all just point and laugh at him at the funeral service. Wang made a TikTok about him. He said the dude was apparently really insecure about himself, including his actual height. He was so insecure that he would have his secretary read his bank statements to make him feel better. That can't be real. That's gotta be fake. I'm feeling bad about being 5'6". Can you please pull up the bank statements, Miss Secretary? I need something to smile about. There was a story of a patient who burst into flames on the operating table. It was an issue with the O2 anesthesia and a spark. It's probably been more than 12 years now. Holy fuck, that sounds terrifying. What? Imagine you're just going in for like a routine procedure and all of a sudden you fucking combust. Oh my god. That's horrifying. Jackson just messaged me today about general anesthesia because he has to get his wisdom teeth out, and they're so bad that they're actually going to put him under for it. Now he got me worried that he's just going to blow up. Turn him into a goddamn bomb. There's a video floating around right now that has to be the worst celebration I have ever seen. Now, something I've said for a while that no one really thinks about is that celebrations can sometimes be dangerous. I remember there was a very famous case where a football player had scored, I think it was the game-winning touchdown, and his team and all of their hype and, like excitement dogpiled him like it was a scene out of The Waterboy, and ended up like breaking his pelvis. And I think that ended his career. But I also will never forget when I was a kid, I actually watched Bill Gramatica, who was the kicker for the Cardinals at the time, tear his ACL through a very simple celebration after a first quarter field goal. So what happened with Bill Gramatica is he kicked his field goal, he's like, yeah, fuck yeah! And then to celebrate, he did one of these. How wild would that have been if I blew out my ACL doing it? But he gave a little leap, pumped his fist, and upon landing, blew out his ACL, MCL, DVD, VHS, CBS, and BBL. Like, absolutely annihilated his knee, and his career was never quite the same. But even with these historic celebration blunders, the one I'm about to show you today, I still feel is worse.
5 points go to Shane Byrne, 20 to Alex Lowe's, Josh Brooks on 16, Kirkham 13, Bridewell 11, Keith Farmer on 10, and the rest down to 10th place Josh Waters. Shaky Byrne and the 42nd race win of his British Superbike career, the perfect start as, Josh Brooks there, giving very unkindly dousing the MCE insurance girls who sensibly got their crash helmets. Oh dear me, they haven't got that crash helmet under there, Shaky, thank you very much. Alex Lowe's in second place there, Samsung Honda, very, very sensibly realising with about 4 laps to go that Shaky had the legs on him, and he would just...
You ever get so excited you just sexually assault someone? Like, I'm pretty sure that would be classified as sexual assault, right? Like, you can't just start putting things up people's orifices without their consent, no matter what the context is. Like, this is clearly not in the script. He, like, goes under her skirt and then blasts the champagne shower there like some kind of geyser, like a volcanic eruption. That's just downright diabolical, and I know it was probably painful, too. Now, I've never butt-chugged, but I have to imagine getting alcohol forcibly shot up your asshole is going to hurt. And contrary to popular belief, I don't have a vagina, but if I did, I would imagine that would be equally as painful having all of that shot there too. It would sting and burn. Like, if I was getting alcohol being blasted up my bussy, I'm screaming. Like, let's say Moist Esports wins the Apex World Championship this year, and Matt decides to celebrate by hitting me with, like, the 1,000 years of pain. I'm pressing charges. Now, real quick, I want to jump in here and give all of you watching something to celebrate. Plague Seeker issue 1 is here. My newest comic book series. It's 80 pages of just the most beautiful, most over-the-top, fucking violent, raw action you'll ever see in a comic book. I swear to God. As I mentioned with Plague Seeker, I was heavily inspired by Berserk for this one. And every single page of this is just a masterpiece. The artist, Vampire Tranel, absolutely knocked it out of the park. Like, no matter where you go in here, it's like a beautiful piece that you'd want to hang on your wall. So, issue 1 is here. You can find it at badegg.co. It's written by myself and Jackson, and the entire team put together something super special here. The artist is Vampire Tranel, extremely talented. The lettering is done by Dave Sharp. So yeah, definitely go pick up a copy at Plague Seeker. There'll be a link to it in the description, badegg.co. Also, it's more than just action, by the way. It's just, I think the action in issue 1 goes so fucking hog wild, like Insano style, that I can't help but mention it. Now, admittedly, I'm not super familiar with Superbike and the traditions when it comes to celebrations, but I still feel terrible for these podium girls here, because for some reason, all 3 of the dudes on stage there are showering just them in the champagne, and it doesn't seem like they like it, and even the announcer was like, oh my, that is very unkind. To the first guy who's just behind him super soaking them with the champagne, he's just sitting there using them like target practice for it. For some reason. Like, is that normal? Is that what they're there for? Just to be like a sponge for champagne? That sucks. But even if that is the role that they agreed to, they clearly did not agree to having someone go underneath and like violate them with champagne. That is very much crossing a line. That is not part of their contract, I imagine. The whole celebration is just weird from all 3 of them. So obviously the main guy who goes under her skirt, his name is Shane Byrne, or Shaky as they call him. But the other 2 guys as well. I don't really understand it. All of them targeted the 2 podium girls, when in every other celebration for every other sport, usually the champagne shower is towards the crowd, or like each other, or like their team. Not just like the 2 girls standing there at the podium. It just feels weird, but for some reason, all 3 of the dudes just come up and start, like, blasting them with champagne like they had a grudge against them. It was like a hazing ritual or something. They were, like fucking bullying them with the champagne. Maybe they were, bad blood between them or something, but it just seemed, like, brutal. Like, it seemed like they had like a bone to pick with him. Now, after this started to make the rounds in 2021, Shaky did come forward to issue an apology in regards to the situation.
I'm aware of a video that's currently circulating on social media of myself in 2013 where I inappropriately sprayed a promotional lady with champagne on the podium. I'd like to say I deeply regret what I did that day and I'm truly sorry. I'd like to apologise not just to the lady, but to the other women on the podium that day, to all of my fans and to anybody else that's been offended by my actions. I can only apologise and I'm truly sorry.
Super short, super simple, just saying that he deeply regrets what he did, he apologizes for it, says sorry to all those affected, and is trying to close the book on all of it. I still can't quite wrap my head around how this celebration even crossed his mind as appropriate or some kind of good idea. Like, I understand getting lost in, like, excitement, right? Like, I've celebrated some super important achievements in my life, like checkmating XQC in 6 moves and then going on to win the entire chess tournament, which is where the entire throbbing celebration from me came from. But at no point was I ever so excited that all common sense and reasoning just went out the window. I understand celebrations that lead to injury far more than I understand this celebration that led to an enema. Like, Bill Grammatica celebrating like, yeah! And then blowing out his ACL, I get, like, you're fucking pumped, you jump and you hurt yourself. Unlucky. Or another football player, I remember, got like a sack, and then he jumped up in the air and stomped both feet down, and he like broke his leg doing it. Those I get. Like, you're excited, you let out a bunch of steam all at once, and then you end up just breaking your body from it. But this, he was so excited that he just goes to like fucking Neanderthal brain. He's like, "Whoa!" And then like shoots champagne up her butthole. That shit just doesn't make any sense at all. But yeah, I saw this today, and I just had to talk about it a little bit. That it has to be the worst celebration I've ever seen. Again, I feel horrible for the 2 podium ladies during this, because this shit is cruel. This looks awful. Now, I do want to just mention again, Plague Seeker Issue 1 has been a passion project for about 2 years now, so to see Issue 1 finally be out there, I'm super excited for all of you to get your hands on it and get to read it. I'm also going to go ahead and drop the animation we had made for the initial release for Issue 0, because I think that this animation just goes so fucking hard, and it also just sets the stage for what Plague Seeker is about, for any of you that are curious.
1,000 years ago, humankind ruled the earth. Even in their failings, they prospered across the planet. But that would all change in the blink of an eye. Those who persevered beyond the impact never truly survived. The mutations made them something more than human. It drove them mad. Those closest to the calamity were transformed completely. Known as plagues, their overwhelming power leaves all helpless as they seek to dominate our world. The worst of them were born where nothing had the right to survive. Terrifying beings known to us as the Great Plagues. 8 in total spread themselves across the planet, each ruling their own territory. Without mercy, they shaped our world. And yet there was one that not a soul dare speak of. Born at the very center of the impact. A plague far different than all the others. He bore the strongest curse of them all. An insatiable hunger to devour the other 8. The Plague Seeker.
Twitch is a platform that's no stranger to evolution. And I think we've entered into a new phase in this blossoming butterfly of a streaming service. Now, I know for a lot of people, Twitch is mainly like a gaming platform, but it's gone through so many different changes that it's more than that now. There's huge events that are hosted there, really high quality productions, IRL streams. A lot of different content is on Twitch these days. And when you think of Twitch now, the first thing you think of isn't always going to be gaming. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I want to drag you kicking and screaming into the future, because a pioneer has just arisen to really showcase the power of technology. Behold, true gaming in its purest form. This is what streaming is all about. Now, the censoring on her butthole was done by me. I felt I had to, just to make sure that this video would be safe to be uploaded, but make no mistake, while live, it was not censored at all. This was the director's cut. Full-blown poop shoot action, barely covered by, like, the tiniest string of fabric. So last night while I was streaming, chat was telling me that I should check out her stream because they wanted my opinion on if it was breaking Twitch terms of service, like I'm some kind of fucking hall monitor for Twitch. And it just piqued my curiosity, so I checked it out. Her name is Strawberry Tabby, and she was one of the most popular streamers last night while I was on. She was playing Valorant at the time, but she had been live for 5 hours streaming. And I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw that this was the setup. So there's the torso cam for, like, the titties, like, so it's mainly, like, honkers and a very tight bikini. And then a totally separate camera just for butthole. A pure ass cam. And then, like, a very tiny box for gameplay. Now, when I was made aware of this, I was joking about it. And at some point during the stream, she went on, like, a phone call for a brief moment and then came back with a changed set of bottoms. So it seems like she must have got a call from someone at Twitch letting her know that her previous garments weren't acceptable. So she changed into this, yet kept everything else exactly the same. And you can still, of course, see, like, butthole, anus folds and everything. Like, it's still, like, you can still see all of it, but there's a little bit more covering towards the crack, like the ass crack top of it. And I couldn't help but just laugh. For a while now, there's been this arms race on Twitch with sexual content where creators have found that it makes a lot of money to do sexual content on Twitch and it builds a huge audience, so they're constantly trying to push boundaries for what Twitch will allow, and Twitch just doesn't crack down hard on it themselves. Like, the most you'll ever see a creator get banned for these type of streams is like 3 days. There was a creator who fully goatsied herself bare ass on stream and she got a 3-day ban. There was another streamer who just fully had sex on stream and only got a 3-day ban. So there's no real risk associated with trying this, and you stand to gain a lot of money from it. So it's not like I'm even mad at her or anything. It's really a don't hate the player, hate the game situation, because Twitch doesn't really do much about it, thus it must be okay with their policies. But anyway, I just wanted to show you some of the clips from last night where I was going through this in real time, and just to give you an update on where things are at this morning, she received a ban, which I'm not taking responsibility for. It's not my fault. That you can't blame me, Coomers. I know there's a lot of angry gooners that think I was the reason she got banned, but I am innocent in this. I, like all of you, was just watching the content, and that was it. I didn't report her or anything. Oh my god. Okay, there's one guy in the chat, and he keeps saying, have you seen, I won't say the streamer's name, stream. She's got her whole ass out. And I was like, there's no way. So I go to the stream. And she's playing Valorant in this really tiny box. She has 2 camera angles. One on her, like, torso in, like, a really tiny string bikini. And one on her backside that's focused on her asshole. It's like a colonoscopy cam where she's wearing, like, a very, very tiny thong. And then the Valorant gameplay is, like, right up here on her back. Very tiny. That is so aggressive. And I'm reading the chat. There's just one guy in all caps saying, fix the camera. Because I'm guessing what happened is it tilted a little bit up from her ass crack. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. She's fixing it. Obviously, I'm not going to fucking pull this up on stream. This seems a little much even for Twitch. This is absolutely wild. Like, when she moves, you can literally see, like, her anus creases. Like, she has 6,600 viewers. She's a very popular streamer. I've definitely seen her name before. Oiled up, too. Yeah, oiled up as well. It's not worth the risk. It is absolutely one wrong move and her whole butthole flies out. It's just not worth the risk for me to pull it up. Okay, you know what, it's worth the risk. I'm gonna try, because there's like this weird toy hammer that goes on her stream if you move your mouse over it. Okay, it's on Twitch. Surely it's okay, right? You would think. Here, we're gonna go like this. Okay, and then I'm gonna crop like that, and then let me see if I can get my censoring in position. This is so, I can't. There's no way. There's no way I make that work. And she's moving right now. Like her. There's no way I make that work. But I mean, it's literally one of the biggest streams on Twitch right now, so it's got to be okay with their rules. What does the hammer do, Charlie? I don't know, but that's why I thought I could maybe censor it with the hammer, but it just doesn't work. We're gooning together. Okay, you need help, brother. I'm in there for the Valorant gameplay. Yeah, you and me both. That's why we're all there. No, I mean, good for her. If Twitch is okay with it, fucking let the hustle ride. But every time she moves her ass closer to the camera, it legitimately feels like we're about to do a deep dive colon cam. It is incredibly close range. I can see hair follicles. It's like looking at her ass through a microscope. So it's a high quality asshole cam. It's 8K. She's definitely got a black magic cam just for her ass. Like if she gets goosebumps, you'll be able to see each individual one. She's filming her ass with an IMAX camera. Yeah, she's making it so it's compatible with the big screen. She's using the same technology they used to film Oppenheimer. Is she good at the game? I don't know. I wasn't looking at the gameplay. I have no clue. I haven't the foggiest. I can actually see her asshole, like her actual asshole. Like legit, no, like it's not even covered anymore. I can see each fold. And there's one guy, that guy in the chat, I think it's the same guy who was like, fix your cam. I just saw him celebrate. He said, come on, fudge. I don't know what that means, but he's excited, so I'm excited for him. I censored, do you want to... Yeah, thank you, Edgar. Can you send me the censor so that way I can at least pull up what it looks like? That's a good idea. I didn't even think to screenshot it. Yeah, send me the censored screenshot. This is... I think we just witnessed the birth of the new meta here. You got a big moment there. A highlight reel. But yeah, this is the setup. This is the new wave. That Valorant 2.0. Is this okay to show? I mean, it was censored, and it's one of the biggest streams on Twitch, and she's been a big streamer for a long time, so I'm guessing it's fine. I hope. Imagine I'm the one who gets in trouble. Moist Critical, we found you were in violation of Twitch's nudity policy. For that, you'll be receiving a 30-day suspension. Camera is so clear, we'll actually see her farts. That's what I was saying, like, that camera is unreal. Like, she legitimately might be using a black magic for that. You would actually see the fart fumes come out. Like a cartoon. Hats off to the gooner who blew the lid on that operation, because that was fascinating. And she still has, like, the kiddie pool in the background, so that way she plays by the pools and hot tubs rule. It's a Walmart flamingo kiddie pool. She got up and left, so I'm guessing, like, one of her Twitch contacts told her that it was a little much after 5 hours worth. Interesting timing on that. You made her change clothes. Oh, fuck, that one guy who was talking about here comes the fudge and fix the cam in all caps is gonna be livid. He had his whole night ruined. The hog was not fully squeezed, and that man is going to be inconsolable. Why do you have resubscribe? Because someone gifted me a sub. You just created your own version of the Joker. Yeah, that one desperate coomer. Damn. How dare you? But also, there's no reason to go into DEF CON, by the way, Gooners. The panic was unwarranted. All she did was change into a different, lower bikini bottom. So instead of having, like, a small piece of paper there stuck in her ass cheeks, she's now got, like, a normal bikini that she's wedgied herself with. So, it's not all bad. He'll probably still enjoy it. I know I'm looking more disheveled than usual today, very raggedy. I look like I just crawled out of Jumanji and I'm wondering what year it is. But before I take a shower, I think it's important that I address something because yesterday my Twitter mentions were set ablaze. I was nonstop flooded with demands to speak on a new potential Twitch meta that was beginning to blossom. Feast your eyes on the glory of gaming. And when this was floating around Twitter, I was like the Powerpuff Girls and Twitter was the mayor. They wouldn't stop ringing my hotline trying to alert me to this like it was some kind of emergency that I needed to speak on. So 5 days ago I made a video called Twitch is Evolving. Fun fact, you actually can't find that video just by searching for it because it was too risque for YouTube, I suppose, so it no longer shows up in any search algorithms. You can only find it by going directly to my channel. And the video was just me talking and goofing about a stream that I was made aware of while I was live. That a streamer was basically just showing their whole brown balloon knot with a little bit of Valorant gameplay, and I was in disbelief, so I went to check it out to confirm this, and turns out that myth was not busted. It was just a bunch of fucking nuts in there that were. It was a very sexual stream by design, and I made a video just kind of talking about it because it was super silly. And also, it turns out that the streamer I was focusing on in that video, her name is Strawberry Tabby, may not have actually been the creator of this. I got this tweet the following day from a streamer named Asian Bunny, who said that she was actually the one that created not only this meta that I was talking about with like the butthole camera and all of that, but also the previous topless meta. So it seems Asian Bunny may actually be the innovator, nay, the Imagineer behind some of these like very sexual Twitch metas. But anyway, I think it's important context before getting into like the recent thing we're going to talk about to explain why I'm being alerted to all of this now. So that video, Twitch is Evolving, to summarize what it was without showing you, because apparently that's frowned upon on YouTube to showcase that, even though it was fine for Twitch. She had a dual cam setup, one where it was her in like the smallest bikini mankind has ever dreamed up. It makes hentai and anime games look weak in comparison to the reality here. She had like the smallest bikini ever for her top, and she had that cam on the left, basically like Honker's Jumbotron on the left, and on the right, she came up with something the world has never seen before. It was basically a colonoscopy cam. So she had her ass pushed in front of an iPhone, which I didn't even know was an iPhone at the time. I legitimately thought it was like a Blackmagic 8K camera. Like that shit was ready for IMAX. And again, with like the tightest string bikini ever that was wedging her ass crack. That fabric was fighting for its life down there, straddling the hole. And it wasn't really covering it, so you could still see like her entire anus in the stream. And I was just joking about that because this has been a huge thing on Twitch for a long time, to constantly be pushing the envelope of what kind of sexual content they'll allow. And it seemed like that had the green light because she'd been streaming for like 5-something hours, one of the biggest streamers at the time. She had like Valorant gameplay in the tiniest box ever. Like if you were trying to watch the Valorant gameplay, you would have needed binoculars in order to see it from her stream. And I was just laughing and goofing about that whole situation because again, it doesn't seem like Twitch really gives a fuck all that much when it comes to these policies. Though she did eventually catch a ban for it. I take no responsibility. That is not my fault. That must have been some shadow government at play working behind the scenes. I was just there. It's just having a giggle at what I was seeing. But anyway, since I posted that video, I've kind of become like the butt patrol of Twitch now. So anytime there's a streamer doing something sexual, people like to tell me about it. I don't know why. I'm not the ass police. I was just laughing at that one stream in particular. That's really about it. Though it seems that I have been pigeonholed into this role now, so I'll go ahead and talk about this because I'm still inundated with requests to do so. So let's go over the new Twitch meta here that's risen from the ashes of Butthole Cam. This time, it's a streamer whom we've talked about before, Mordp, who is putting gameplay on her cheeks.
Already have that. I'm just up in this biz. There are people fighting outside. I don't give a fuck. Bro, I need to potion up. Sheesh. Ka-chow. I am in no position to be.
In a fascinating twist of fate, this happens to be like the least nude sexual meta I've seen develop on Twitch. Like, she's fully covered. Her tuchus is just a green screen for gameplay, so you can't even really see her rump or anything. And she's also wearing like an actual top, too. So this is like the least sexual I've seen one of these metas get. Of course, watching Fortnite gameplay in keister shape isn't conducive to the best viewing experience. Like, it's definitely not optimal for high quality gameplay presentation. But there is gameplay there and significantly less nudity, it seems. Though I will say, like, one of those donation goals at the top there was creamy treat. I don't exactly know what that would look like here. I haven't seen a clip of it, so I don't really know what it's referring to. Since the focal point of this stream is on her ass gameplay, is she gonna, like, shit herself or something? Like, you donate for the creamy treat and she poops, and then, like, the green screen pants, like, inflate a little bit? I don't know. I can't really figure out what that means. It's probably some kind of, like, bait and switch type thing. Creamy treat, you donate, and then she eats a piece of food suggestively, perhaps. I have no idea. The other one's jumping jacks. That one's pretty self-explanatory, I imagine. Though it's going to be, like, really disorienting watching Fortnite gameplay on a moving, jiggling pair of butt cheeks. But that one, at least, I understand what that would look like. The creamy treat, though, I'm at a loss. I have no clue. So, yeah. I don't have a lot of strong thoughts on this new Twitch meta here. It definitely is the most clothed I've seen in a while for one of these metas. So that's going in a good direction, I would think, right? I actually imagine she probably won't get banned for this one. I don't know how many times she's been banned. It's a lot, but this might actually be one that's safe by the Twitch policy. Though you have to wonder, how do the hog squeezers feel about it? Because this is more closed than they're used to for a sexual meta that's developed. And I can't see the chat replay when I went back to watch it. I don't know if it's just Twitch mobile not really functioning properly like usual or what, but I can't see their response. When we covered the last one with Strawberry Tabby and the butthole cam, which sounds like the title to a Harry Potter book, we were able to see the chat and them celebrate each and every gyration she made every time she adjusted her seating position. There were people in the chat going crazy. Yeah! Whoa, come on, Fudge! Whoa! So it was like the Super Bowl of butt for them. This one, you don't really get any of that. You're getting Fortnite, where there was once ass. So maybe they're disappointed in it and it won't take off as like the next successful sexual Twitch meta or anything, but who really knows? I'm not an expert on this, contrary to popular belief. But yeah, anyway, that's really about it. So yeah. There's not many things in life that I'm afraid of. I think my fears are pretty reasonable, not necessarily odd. Like the fear of dying, or being stuck out in open water with no way out, or something being located on the top shelf that I have to struggle to reach. But one fear that I do have that I actually get ridiculed for, and it's not without, I understand why, is my fear of flying. I have a very intense phobia of planes. I don't have a fear of heights, it's just being on a plane. You don't need to spit all the facts at me. I know all the statistics. It's the safest form of travel. Really, it's the safest thing humans do on a regular basis. It's probably more safe than me sitting in this chair right now. I get all of that. I know it's an irrational fear, but I can't shake it. It's just deep-seated. And I've flown 10, 15 times across the 29 years of my life, and every single time it's an anxiety-inducing, miserable experience. I just absolutely despise it. Recently, I've started to feel kind of vindicated in this fear, though. Whereas before, I was made the fool. People, painted me as a clown for being afraid of flying. They couldn't wrap their head around why I'd be afraid of it. Now there's been a lot of people coming over to my side over here, because Boeing's been in some hot water. Their planes have just been falling apart in the skies, like the door blowing off, like all kinds of terrible things happening with Boeing's aircrafts. It's been aviation apocalypse for that company. And there was a Boeing whistleblower who was in an active lawsuit with Boeing who turned up dead under very peculiar circumstances. And now Boeing's CEO as well as other top executives are stepping down from the company, so it's just been this septic tank exploding with shit spraying everywhere here. A lot is going on behind the scenes at Boeing, and it's all very odd. Now, as most of you know, I run a show called Red Thread with Jackson and Windigoon, where we dive into cryptids, conspiracies, cults, and cold cases, and we recently tackled the Boeing whistleblower conspiracy, which is about the Boeing whistleblower not taking his own life, but actually being murdered by Boeing for revealing the Krabby Patty secret formula to their aircrafts, which is basically scrap metal. He was talking about all of these awful like safety violations and oversights for their aircrafts where they were knowingly putting scrap metal onto their planes. They weren't following protocol. They were doing a lot of shady things, keeping a lot of things off the books on purpose to meet production deadlines. He was a higher up in Boeing when it comes to like their aircraft safety and making sure everything functions properly. And he was really concerned and disappointed with how Boeing was handling things, so he started to reveal this information, break the magician's code, and now he's no longer with us. And the circumstances around his death are very odd. So I just wanted to talk about this and show you clips from that Red Thread episode because since a lot of you know I'm afraid of flying, I've been asked a lot about my opinion on Boeing and the whistleblower situation and all of that. And it's one that I've been paying extremely close attention to and following every step of the way. So here's all the Boeing whistleblower conspiracy information as well as my take on all of it. To really start picking apart the problems with Boeing, I think it's important to give a little bit of a history lesson behind them, so I'm going to play this clip from the Red Thread episode that kind of sets the stage for why everything changed so quickly for Boeing after a merger gone wrong with a fucking parasitic infestation that took over the company from the inside out. So, 1997, Boeing acquired McDonnell Douglas, which is now often seen as a misaligned merger. The merger was worth over $13 billion. McDonnell Douglas had found it increasingly harder and harder to compete with Boeing and Airbus, lacking resources to be able to work on new product development, and this merger was Douglas's way out of the industry. At the time, Boeing had an engineering-first ethic which was quickly overpowered after this change by McDonnell Douglas's more profit money-making mindset. So you can see where the holes start to show here. And this is something that even in recent articles is mentioned quite a bit.
Well, it was a massive merger at the time. McDonnell Douglas had a significantly different ethos and like organizational structure behind the scenes, which kind of explains probably why they were in trouble in the first place. Because Boeing,
you would think,
Boeing succeeded over them because they put technological innovation ahead of business in most senses. I mean, they were still a profitable business, don't get me wrong, but they definitely focused a lot on the engineering side of things, engineering excellence. And then somehow they merged with McDonnell Douglas, and McDonnell Douglas is the one that's seen steering the ship from then on. That has never made sense to me. Like, Boeing was the more profitable, more healthy company, and they kind of like saved McDonnell Douglas in a way by merging with them, and then McDonnell Douglas like kind of infects the company. It's never made sense to me.
I don't even think it's necessarily a product of the merger. It's a product of the time where everything became more profit driven. So McDonnell Douglas's like ethos of money making first probably is what was prevalent, not so much their structure.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So this is a very cool name. Harry Stonecipher, the Boeing CEO at the time of the merger.
Sounds like a Bond villain.
I know, it does sound like a Bond villain.
It's so cool. I love that name. I wish my last name was Stonecipher. It's so fucking sick.
That's an anime name. So he was determined to change the idea of the company from engineering firm to a proper business. Tens of thousands of jobs were cut, and Boeing moved from Seattle to Chicago in 2001. This was done to remove the Strategy Council of Business from being directly associated with other units of the company, thus allowing them to focus more on business decisions and long-term strategy plans without meddling from people actually building the planes. With this drastic change in the company, where now it was all about money-making first, print as many doubloons as possible, Mr. Krabs is running Boeing, they started to throw safety and quality to the wayside, at least according to the whistleblower and a lot of the things that were going on behind the scenes that were so shady. Now, I want to continue setting the stage here because the problems for Boeing really started to escalate over the last decade or so. Boeing created the Maneuvering Characteristic Augmentation System, or MCAS, which is now an infamous system, which I'm sure we're going to talk about very soon. It's described as one of their biggest and most fatal mistakes. It was designed to be a flight stabilizing software that would automatically adjust the aircraft's flight controls under certain flight conditions, but Boeing refrained from telling many people about this system, including the pilots of the aircraft itself.
What could go wrong, right?
Whoa, what?
So MCAS obtained its data from aircraft's angle of attack, the AOA sensor, which is used to measure the angle between the aircraft's relative wind and its longitudinal axis. This in turn would help MCAS determine if the plane is at risk of stalling, then triggering corrective actions. If by any chance the information relayed from the AOA sensors were wrong or the sensors were faulty, the MCAS system could erroneously send the plane into a fateful nosedive. This is exactly what happened on the Lions Air Flight 310 in 2008 and the Ethiopian Airways Flight 302 in 2019. Tragically, everyone on board both flights died.
Just for audio listeners, Charlie meant to say 2018 then. There wasn't a 10-year difference. Yeah, you said 2008. 2008.
Oh, sorry. I meant 2018.
Yeah. So anyone who was around at that time period, though, remembers when those two crashes happened because they were enormous in the news. It caused Boeing to ground all the flights. Hundreds of people died. It was a very tragic event.
Oh, man.
They also recalled the 737 MAX in response as well, if I remember correctly. They took the 737 MAX out of production for a little while, and I believe airports refused to fly them.
Yeah, for a 2-year period, I think. Yeah.
So the sensor read data wrong and like pulled against the pilot to adjust, which caused a crash.
So the AOA, the angle of attack sensor, which is a sensor on the peripheral, like the outside of the aircraft itself, could feed incorrect data to the MCAS system in certain situations, and then the MCAS system would operate on that incorrect information and essentially pull the plane.
Was there no way to override it? You would think,
there was,
but since they didn't train the pilots on it and the pilots weren't aware of it, they didn't know they could override that system.
Dude.
So it just,
as we're going to get into, the reason as to why the pilots weren't educated about this is so infuriatingly greedy.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Keep going.
So, Boeing had insisted to airlines that the pilots did not need any additional training to fly the new aircraft, and even more damning, all mentions of MCAS were removed from the operations manual that the pilots relied on. As Boeing was in a losing race against Airbus, the 737 MAX needed to fly exactly like the 737, so that pilots didn't have to go through new simulator training for certification.
And remember, just real quick, I didn't write this, but remember that it didn't fly exactly like the previous 737 because the engines were more forward on the plane, creating that tilt. So because of that, that's why they introduced the MCAS to offset that, so that it would fly as close to the 737 as possible.
You make a system that makes it feel like the old one.
Exactly, so they can
accommodate for when that system doesn't work correctly. I see.
Yeah.
Training the pilots would have taken a lot of extra time, money, and would be unattractive to potential airline customers. MCAS was the supposed solution so that in certain, very specific situations, it would slightly adjust the aircraft to correct its flight position to create a more similar flying experience akin to the previous model that the pilots were used to. However, when this happened in the real world, pilots and MCAS were in a sort of fight with each other for controls, with pilots trimming the aircraft manually and then MCAS trimming it again, and this cycle continuing with the pilot unaware that there was a hidden system essentially acting against them. After the tragedies of the Lions Air and Ethiopian airline crashes, Boeing suffered a huge financial loss. In 2022 and 2023, they paid out over $1 billion to 737 MAX customers. They were charged with fraud as well as conspiracy and entered an agreement with the Department of Justice with the agreement that they were to pay over $2.5 billion. They also grounded the 737 MAX for nearly 2 years, with regulators conducting investigations, a move costing Boeing around $20 billion in fees and fines.
So they didn't end up making more money in the first place. They made these decisions to make more money, and now they've lost over $20 billion, which I'm not sure how much that is in the grand scheme of things.
They have a net worth of $109 billion, so...
That is actually substantial then.
The negative publicity just continues to, accumulate day by day. For example, one United Airlines Boeing 777 experienced a wheel loss during takeoff. Another United Airlines aircraft slid off the runway upon landing due to the landing gear malfunctioning. There's been multiple instances of flames shooting out of engines that have been reported. Certifications have reportedly been falsified. Debris has been discovered near electrical wiring. Loose parts have been found in door panels. Components from scrap bins have allegedly been reused in installations and constructions of planes themselves. A Boeing 777 was forced to land after hydraulic fluid was leaking during takeoff. Additionally, engineers have been outsourced for low wages, with some employees reportedly being paid as low as $9.50 an hour, and the FAA criticized Boeing's safety procedures as inadequate. And there's so many more that Jackson could have pulled from. Like 2 days ago, a Boeing flight engine blew up, caught fire and they had to emergency land. A week ago, this one I think a lot of you heard, the door blew off of a plane mid-flight.
Yep.
That's the one I focus on, yeah.
Oh, so you have it right here. So, most recently, Friday, January 5th, 171 passengers and 6 crew members were aboard the Alaskan Airline Flight 1282 on a Boeing 737 MAX. They departed from Portland at 5:07 p.m. with no signs of stress or worry from the captains or flight staff. However, minutes later, as the plane reached an altitude of 16,000 feet, a loud bang was heard through the aircraft. A hidden emergency door and its cover, known as a door plug, was suddenly sucked out from the aircraft, leaving a giant hole in its wake. The change in pressure was so strong that if passengers were sitting in the seats directly at the impacted door, they would most certainly have been jettisoned. Mobile phones were ripped out of hands, a t-shirt was ripped off the back of a young boy, the plane's interior around the gap was torn apart to its core, and the surrounding seats bent and misshapen. There's just so many examples of Boeing planes malfunctioning in recent years as the quality of their builds have apparently diminished behind the scenes. So we focused a lot on that airline door being blown off. That was one we harped on a lot and diving deep into how that happened and all of the negligence and just irresponsibility behind it. The main thing that contributed to that is they didn't put the fucking bolts in on it. Like, they didn't finish actually putting the bolts in on the door. It's from top to bottom, so much has gone wrong with Boeing. And it's led to concerned individuals like John Barnett, the Boeing whistleblower, coming out to tell the public, inform them about what's happening with Boeing and how dangerous it is.
Following this, Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun himself has encouraged customers to conduct their own reviews on 737.
Hey, we don't feel like paying for anyone to like check our shit. Can you guys just do it yourself and like let us know?
Just check the doors when you get on.
Encourages customers to check the bolts. Oh my gosh. Like, hey, next time you get onto one of our planes, just make sure all the screws are there. Yeah. You probably know where they're supposed to go.
Guys, it's probably fine, but don't take our word for it. In fact, we want you to do it yourself.
Yeah. And then in the court case, it's like, Your Honor, they checked the door. You know, it's really their fault.
The onus was on them.
Every single passenger is deputized upon entering a 737 as an official certified inspector.
I'm going to assume, because Boeing's customers are the actual airlines and not us individually, so maybe he meant the customers as in the airlines conduct their own reviews, but even then,
I imagine.
That's still such a dodgy thing to say still, like, hey, you guys should check the doors.
It's funny to imagine
we weren't
that, like,
looking.
When you sit down on a plane and the stewardess is giving you like the in-flight instructions, it's like, please ensure that all bolts and screws are in the correct place on the secret door you don't know you're sitting next to.
Yeah, when the oxygen mask dropped down during an emergency, they also drop an Allen wrench. It's like, okay, now everyone tighten your shit quick.
Out of the 89 audits conducted by Boeing, only 56 passed. They found that Dawn... What? No way.
A ridiculous amount of failure.
What? They found that Dawn dishwashing liquid was being used as a makeshift lubricant during door fittings, and a hotel key card was used to check a door seal, which are not approved practices.
I can't believe those are approved practices. Where does it say in the technical guidebook that you can't use Dawn dishwashing liquid? What are you meant to use then?
I love it's like the Air Bud argument. I mean, there's nothing in the rule book that says a dog can't play basketball. Why can't I use a hotel key card to check the door seal? John Barnett. He was an American-born aerospace engineer and longtime Boeing employee turned whistleblower. Born February 23rd, 1962 in Pineville, Louisiana, Barnett worked at Boeing for 32 years with a long stint from 2010 through 2017, working as a quality control manager for Boeing's 787 Dreamliner airplane at the South Carolina plant. As quality control manager, John was directly involved in ensuring each plane had passed supposed Boeing quality checklists, essentially being one of the few individuals who was innately aware and knowledgeable about Boeing's supposed commitment to producing reliable and safe aircraft. Due to stressful working conditions, Barnett's doctor advised that job-related stress would likely cause a heart attack unless he were to quit. He retired in 2016. Upon his retirement, John Barnett came forward to the press to make allegations about various claims of malpractice at Boeing. His initial claims first came to the BBC and included allegations that many employees were severely overworked and Boeing was not providing consistent and appropriate maintenance to the aircraft they were responsible for manufacturing. He also made the troubling evidence-based claim that the oxygen systems of the brand new Boeing 787 Dreamliner range of aircraft might be faulty or otherwise defective as a byproduct of lax maintenance at Boeing. He provided tests that showed a failure rate of 25% for the oxygen systems. In 2019, Barnett would appear in a New York Times article where he would go on to make further claims about metal shavings that posed a danger to the aircrafts themselves. Boeing denied all allegations made by Barnett. However, the FAA has since conducted several reviews that seem to corroborate Barnett's claims.
Yeah, 25% for the oxygen systems. So 1 in 4 people on those planes are not getting oxygen in the case of an emergency.
That's still a positive survival rate. That's acceptable losses.
It's not bad, and they wouldn't need oxygen anyway because the plane will be in a nosedive. So it's
yeah. What are they going to do? Tell someone?
Yeah, it's actually probably better for Boeing if no one gets oxygen, so that way there's no squealing.
Have you heard that old conspiracy theory that the reason you brace with your head against the chair in front of you in a plane crash is to immediately break your neck?
Oh yeah,
so you don't feel the pain of the crash. Or
yeah, the old Boeing survivors pose.
So then here's some more claims from Barnett. So, reprimanded for email usage, Barnett asserts that a senior manager reprimanded and downgraded Barnett for his usage of internal email services as a tool for expressing process violations in lieu of face-to-face conversations, which Barnett assumes had meant he shouldn't put problems in writing. This was seemingly a way for Boeing to avoid a paper trail of problems that Boeing would prefer swept under the rug, which is relevant with the Alaska Airline Flight 1282, which is the door blowing off, where Boeing apparently doesn't have any written documents pertaining to the faulty installation of the door module. Barnett also alleges that the manager pushed Barnett to get more used to working in the gray areas and help find a way while maintaining compliance. This speaks to a direct willingness and culture at Boeing where employees and managers are willing to sacrifice quality control to keep productivity high and ensure deadlines are met. Then there's also defective parts claims, where Barnett claims that a senior manager installed a defective, scrapped and dented hydraulic pipe in a plane. Barnett followed procedures and filed the complaint with Human Resources, which was unable to substantiate the claim after claiming they had followed through with an investigation. He also claims that he would go on to continuously raise issues of several more missing and defective airplane parts to management with the fear that they had either been accidentally or intentionally installed in aircrafts. Allegedly, management instead directed him to finish the paperwork on the missing parts without necessarily determining where they had gone.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
They fell into the fucking back rooms. Who cares? Just make note that they're missing. Barnett claims no further action was taken by managers. His claim that workers did not sufficiently follow component tracking procedures with the goal of preventing delays on the production line was backed up by a 2017 Federal Aviation Administration report that determined that at least 53 non-conforming parts were missing, with the order that Boeing take remedial action. Barnett additionally claimed that they had to change the locks on the scrap storage section of the facility where faulty or defective parts were kept, because people would continuously grab parts from the storage to install on planes.
Fuck. You have to lock a real problem at Boeing.
You have to lock up the scrap shed because they keep trying to build planes with them.
Just fucking get rid of them, burn them. Stop them from being installed in these planes.
It's like everyone's rats like running around scavenging. Like, no, stop. Get back.
Yeah. Tony Stark built this Boeing in a cave with a bunch of scraps.
So bad.
Metal shavings. Barnett further alleged that he had discovered what he described as clusters of metal shavings that were erroneously left near electrical systems for flight controls in several 787s. The safety implications of this was that if there were shavings, the implications of this was if the shavings were to penetrate the electrical wiring responsible for powering the flight control systems, the results could have been catastrophic. So, in 2024, Barnett continued to issue warnings about Boeing and their work culture and vehicle safety, particularly following Alaska Airline Flight 1282. Barnett would go on to file an AR-21, which is a law that supposedly protects airline safety whistleblowers against retaliatory actions by employers, with the claim that Boeing had undermined his career because he had raised safety concerns at the Charleston plant. It's worth mentioning he was in an active lawsuit against Boeing. And he was in South Carolina, and on Saturday, he was intended to provide further answers to questioning, but did not show up to the downtown office of Boeing's defense firm for the final day of the 3-day deposition. He did not respond to calls over that day or the following. He was found deceased shortly after in his truck at a hotel parking lot, from what Charleston County Coroner's Office described as a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Prior to his death, Barnett reportedly told a family friend that, "If anything happens to me, it's not suicide." Boeing responded to his death by releasing a statement that read, "We are saddened by Mr. Barnett's death and our thoughts are with his family and friends." Barnett's family claimed that he was looking forward to having his day in court and hoped that it would force Boeing to change its culture, though was suffering from PTSD and anxiety attacks as a result of being subject to a hostile work environment at Boeing, which we believe led to his death. His lawyer told the CBS News that he was in very good spirits and really looking forward to putting this phase of his life behind him and moving on. We didn't see any indication he would take his own life. No one can believe it. Barnett was found inside his vehicle, bleeding from his right temple, with a silver pistol found in his hand and something allegedly resembling a note in the passenger seat. A groundsman told police that he had heard a pop around 9:24 a.m., but the rain had apparently muffled the sound. Barnett and his lawyers had filed their first complaints in 2017 in Barnett v. Boeing. It seems suspicious, to say the least, that Barnett would commit suicide when his case was finally in the final stretch. A family member told his lawyer, Turkowitz, what was written on the note, but that it didn't sound like John. Which I imagine it didn't.
It sounded like Harry Stonemason or whatever his name was.
Harry Stone Cipher.
Yeah, Stone Cipher.
I think the biggest thing that makes no fucking sense here is not only the timing of it, where he's like in the last phase of this, but also he decides to blow his brains out in the parking lot as opposed to his room. Why? That makes no sense. If he was going to kill himself, it'd likely be in his room, not in the fucking parking lot.
Yeah, that is a good point. I didn't think of that. Maybe he didn't want to do it. He didn't want to create a mess for like the house cleaners or something. And so he figured that his car would be the most...
Well, then he's creating a mess for the tow truck company and every human being that would be walking outside and might see a blood-splattered window.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why you would choose to do it in the car realistically.
Well, because he didn't choose to. It wasn't a suicide that he consented to. It does ultimately seem unlikely that Boeing would plan to murder a whistleblower, but only because there are many other whistleblowers and it would be highly impractical for Boeing to assassinate all of them. There's an interesting connection here where lawyers who drafted Jeffrey Epstein's 2008 immunity deal are also connected to those who created Boeing's, signed January 6, 2021, because Epstein needs to come up in every Red Thread episode somehow.
It's actually crazy that they are connected, though.
So, with so many circumstances that serve as evidence of Boeing's malpractice, its failure of 33 of 89 FAA audits, the jammed rudder that caused a near miss in Newark, a wing coming apart on a San Francisco to Boston flight that was forced to make a premature landing, the use of dish soap and hotel room keys to check door seals, and of course, its failure to install a single bolt that would have prevented the door on the Alaskan Airline Flight 1282 from being ejected from the fuselage, it's impossible to believe that the company would be able to argue it hasn't broken the DPA. But as the DPA is written, the only actual requirements of complying with the DPA are that Boeing cooperate fully with domestic and foreign regulatory authorities in any investigations during the 3 years in which it remains in effect. It's essentially toothless. Yep.
Yeah, because the whole thing's just saying, like, well, you can make mistakes as long as you let us look at them. And they're like, okay.
Yeah. Or you at least pretend to let us look at them.
Like with the footage being overwritten and all that.
Yeah, there's a piece of paper somewhere that says we looked at them. As long as that happens, we're fine, yeah.
Boeing maintains that it has cooperated fully and transparently, but that it is unable to provide documents that the agency is seeking because it doesn't possess the documents and, indeed, no longer documents the repairs and procedures the agency is asking for documentation of, in reference to the installation and maintenance of the door. This is further evidenced and backed up by John Barnett's previous claims that Boeing has an internal culture that will aim to avoid any written record of faults and mistakes at any cost, choosing to lose documentation at any chance if it means they won't be held culpable with evidence pertaining to their increasingly lax quality control and maintenance standard. This has all led to the enormous shift in public perception of the company. The once famous phrase, "If it ain't Boeing, I'm not going," is no longer relevant. Indeed, I'll be more comfortable flying an Airbus plane for the foreseeable future when possible. That's Jackson.
That was meant for me.
I won't be comfortable flying any plane.
You'll be slightly more comfortable if you're on an Airbus.
And I don't even
it's
think
definitely possible.
This is another aspect of it. I don't think it is Boeing who would have carried out a hit. It's not like the boardroom got together and had a discussion and said we need to kill this guy. Could have just been a single individual within the company whose career would be threatened by this information coming to light. So he just has it taken care of without consulting anyone else.
Yeah.
My main hang up with the whole assassination idea, and I agree with you, Isaiah, mostly. I think it's definitely possible that it was something like that. My main hang up with the idea is just how much I think Boeing would have been aware how much noise would have been generated by an assassination on a whistleblower, and I think they would have known that they would have had that kind of perception if that were to occur. So I don't know if it was necessary on their end as well. Like was said in the document, there's a whole bunch of other whistleblowers currently from Boeing. They already have this reputation issue. I don't see why it would be necessary for them when they're pretty much invulnerable anyway.
Necessary is probably not the right word. I feel like the reason they would have killed him in particular is just because of how high profile he, I don't know any of the other whistleblowers. I don't think many of you do, but Barnett was in the news. He was bringing these problems to the public sphere. Hey, Boeing's shit is made out of shit. They're using scrap metal. It's not safe. I wouldn't fly it. This kind of stuff. He was a pretty important figure in getting people more aware of just how poor their quality was, and he had a very high ranking position. He would be a very strong authority on just how bad their quality control is, so it's someone people would put their faith in to know these things. So I feel like he would be one of those people they'd be afraid of. Now, whether or not they'd necessarily be we have to kill him, I don't know, but maybe someone was panicking hey, if this keeps going, if he keeps dropping these bombshells, we're going to suffer big problems. And maybe someone just impulsively decided we need to do something about it and decided to kill him. Because it just seems highly unlikely that someone who's right at the end of a very passionate fight decides to take their own life. And if it's not suicide, then another thing that's equally possible is maybe Boeing started putting out outside pressure on him, hey, threatening his family, we'll do something to them. We'll make sure your family's in financial ruin. We'll make sure their lives are miserable if you don't stop this, that kind of thing. They could have
suicide.
Yeah, they could have coerced him into it. They mentioned he was suffering for PTSD and anxiety attacks. So maybe Boeing plays into that angle by making all of these bigger threats that make his anxiety even bigger and greater. So even if they didn't necessarily get it fucking Agent 47 out there, I still think they could have driven him to it, forced it upon him, which I'd still consider a hit.
Yeah, that's definitely possible as well.